So we got Let's Go Brandon Johnson out of Chicago. He is defunding the police. Yep, said he wasn't gonna. Said it'd never happen. It's happening. Oh, gotta come up with some budget cuts somewhere. I don't like the police, but don't say that out loud. Not a police guy. Don't like him. Progressive. So we're gonna have to do some budget savings here. Let's jump on into it. Here we go. So Let's Go Brandon Johnson. He cancels the 2 months of police academy classes. Orders layoff lists to cut $75 million. Now, if you haven't been following Chicago, they're going to run into about $1 billion deficit. $1 billion. 1,000 million. Yep. Massive, massive. So they're going to have to make cuts to everything. They've spent a ton of money on the illegals and they don't have the tax base coming in. A lot of cities don't. After the pandemic, you've got all kinds of different dynamics going on, but a lot of the downtown dollars that used to be there are no longer there. So cities across the United States are having to make tough calls. And so Let's Go Brandon Johnson, he's canceling a couple of months so far of police academy classes. Now, Chicago is way shy of the number of police they need to have. And as you know, you go on Hey Jackass Chicago and see how many people have been murdered, since I started this podcast. There's been a handful of shootings in Chicago, literally. So Chicago Police Department won't launch recruit classes for at least 2 months, fueling complaints that Mayor Brandon Johnson is reneging on his promise to exempt public safety agencies from a citywide hiring freeze. Okay, what does that look like? That looks like, this is Let's Go Brandon Johnson. Upon further review, police and fire departments are exempt from Brandon Johnson's hiring freeze. He basically came out of the gates and said, yep, hiring freeze to everything, including the cops, including the fire department. And then there was enough pushback. Hey, let's go, Brandon. We got this whole crime thing going on. It's not looking good. It's not a good look for the city. And so then, upon further review, they'll be exempt from the hiring freeze. Facing a burgeoning budget crisis, Let's Go Brandon Johnson on Monday froze hiring and travel and eliminated overtime, not directly required for public safety operations. City council members were told it was an across-the-board freeze that includes police and fire. Well, he went back on that. I mean, as he does, he waffles heavily. He's a progressive. He's going to waffle. That's what they do, right? It's like, it's progress. All right, what are we doing today? Oh, we need to do the opposite. And then tomorrow, let's do the opposite of that because, it didn't look good. Yeah, just this ridiculousness, kind of like defunding the police back in 2020. How did that work? How did that go? Seattle is up to $50,000 for a signing bonus because they can't recruit enough cops. They've got more police retiring and quitting than they're able to net positive gain with recruiting. And Chicago is the same way. They can't bring enough on. So, putting a hold on recruiting classes, that's just literally shooting yourself in the foot there. Let's go, Brandon Johnson. At an emergency cabinet meeting Tuesday, Chief Operating Officer John Robertson ordered other department heads to identify personnel cuts beyond reductions already made and submit proposals by Friday. The goal, $75 million in additional savings in 2025. That's a brutal task. Like you're already on bare bones, but it's brutal because you've spent a ton of money on other horse you-know-what that you didn't need to. How many billions of dollars will Chicago spend on the illegals, on just housing the illegals? How much money is spent there? I mean, was that necessary? We're a sanctuary city, therefore. Each department head will be given a specific budget number to reach in what city officials refer to as an exercise. This is okay. So in theory, this is an exercise, but you know what's coming. Departments had already been required to cut 3%, but now they're saying that doesn't go far enough. They need to find another $75 million, said the source of the meeting where Robertson lowered the boom. Why don't they just do what Tiffany Henyard, the super mayor in the village of Dalton, township of Thornton, why don't they just do what they do there, which is you don't You don't have a budget. You just go to meeting after meeting and you talk about needing a budget, but you don't ever put one in place. How do you do that? I mean, then you just never got to have a budget. Doesn't work that way, does it? No. You need to have a budget so you can have an idea of money coming in, money going out. Are we going to make it? No can do. All right. The source said the mayor's office expected no support and effort from unions or city council members. Let's go, Brandon Johnson. We are not supporting you at all. Nothing. The framing of this thing was, this is just an exercise. We hope not to have to do any of this, the source said. Why wouldn't you? What miracle is going to happen between now and when you need to spend that budget money that's going to allow you to go, it's just an exercise. No need to. Someone else described this as a break the glass exercise. They're talking about it in these emergency terms, and they don't have a political strategy. They basically said, if you get rid of all the 1,077 vacant positions in the corporate fund, that doesn't go far enough. Robertson refused to comment on the budget-cutting mandate, but Lakeisha Gage Woodard, the spokesperson for the city's Office of Budget Management, said officials in her office approved 2 police academy classes in September last month during our conversations with Chicago Police Department about their hiring needs amidst the hiring freeze. One class of 71 recruits started on September 16th. Gage Woodard said another is slated to begin on December 9th with a minimum of 100 recruit slots. Johnson is struggling to close a $223 billion budget gap by December 31st and erase a $982 million shortfall next year. That's your $1 billion right there, forcing him to consider the property tax increase he campaigned against, defunding the police. He's going to jack up taxes. He has to. He doesn't have the option of cutting back what he probably needs to. Plus, his constituents basically won't let him. This guy is hosed. He is hosed. Let's go, Brandon Johnson is hosed. He delayed unveiling his 2025 budget by 2 weeks until October 30th to buy time to find solutions. There's no good solutions when you have to do this. Hey, you could cut a bunch of social programs. Oh, can't do that. That's no good. John Catanzarora, president of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police, he railed against the decision to cut academy classes and lambasted Johnson as a clueless mayor bent on emboldening his allies in the Chicago Teachers Union to the detriment of other city workers. Not just city workers, the constituents of Chicago in total, people that live there. You don't have enough cops? Your city isn't safe. Period. I don't care what you say. Oh, the cops are running around. They're just murdering people left and right. When's the last time you heard that storyline? Throw it out there. When was the last time you heard of a cop in cold blood just murdering somebody? Yeah. Doesn't happen very often, does it? And usually when that claim is made by the media, when they do a deep look into it, yeah, the cop is exonerated from any charges. And why is that? Because he was doing it in the line of duty. That's what cops do. Sometimes they got to kill people. Sometimes it's nut jobs on drugs that they're killing. So, that's going to happen. He's absolutely doing a horrendous job at running the city into financial ruin at record speed, Catanzara said. At what point does the city council step up and either accept responsibility for their duties to run the city? They are in the charge of the purse strings and the direction that this city ultimately goes. Yeah, ask the folks of Dalton, the village of Dalton, South Chicago, how that's going. They're in a massive power struggle. I don't think Let's Go Brandon Johnson is smart enough to realize what a position he's in. He just doesn't strike me as somebody who, is mentally capable of making the decisions he needs without, really putting the city in some harm. And he's going to have to make some tough choices because, the income just isn't there. It's not there. And it's not just Chicago this is happening. A lot of big cities this is happening. But with Let's Go Brandon Johnson, he is more likely to pull this kind of crap, which essentially is halting police hiring. That's what he's doing. He's defunding the police. Yep, no more police for you for the next police academy classes. So we'll just have to see how it goes, right? All right. Hope that works out. Lack of police officers is somehow progress in Chicago. I know it was progress here in Seattle. The people in Seattle, you know what they say? Good. Not enough cops. We hate cops. Cops just run around and murder people, which, they're in their own echo chamber of far left, just ridiculousness. So most folks in Seattle that are so vocal about these topics, they just live in these echo chambers, and you point out one small little thing, and their heads just spin off, kind of like an Exorcist or whatever. It's Halloween time. To get a Halloween reference in there. So we expect the superintendent to speak up when the mayor is doing detrimental things to the union membership that he is supposed to represent, he said. Yeah, okay, yeah. So here's some interesting numbers. Chicago Police Department is 1,693 officers below its January 2019 level. So those numbers are dropping, and that has been consistent throughout the United States. You know what areas don't have police officers dropping and aren't at record low numbers of police officers? Yeah, cities that didn't go down the defund the police route. Cities that respect their law and order. Cities that respect policing as a profession. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, there's cities out there like that. You know what I always hear from folks on the left is, big city crime. And you're like, no, there are big cities who have way less crime than you do. It's just that you've got this whole, another layer on top of that, which is defund the police. And you've got a bunch of progressives. You got a bunch of far left progressives that are monkeying up any attempt to provide public safety to your constituents, period. And then people go, oh, God, that's not really how it is it? And like, yeah, it is. Oh, that sucks. What are we going to do? Not much you can do about the police issue right now because it's such a slow rollout with the whole training thing. And relative to, you might have 78, cadets in a new class, but how many folks do you have that are quitting, moving elsewhere, just getting out of the profession? How many of those do you have ongoing as you're trying to recruit these? So it's a massive uphill battle. And in the meantime, you just got a bunch of shootings happening, especially in Chicago. Let's check out Hey Jackass Chicago for just a second. And the reason I want to do this is, all right, so since I've been recording this, 5 people have been shot. 5, since I've been talking on this podcast, 5 people, if my math is off by 1 or so, so be it. And if I talk for another minute or 2, we will have a person murdered during the time of this podcast in Chicago, because that is how consistent this is. And typically it's every 2 minutes, 30 seconds, between 3 minutes, somewhere between 2:30 and 3, somebody is shot and then somebody is murdered between, sometimes it's 12 minutes, sometimes it's 14, but most of the time it's in that 14 range. So literally you've got shootings happening as we speak. Do you need more cops for that, or do you need less? It's a rhetorical question, right? So year to date, let's look at year to date just for kicks. Shot and killed, 437. Shot and wounded, 2,086 people in Chicago have been shot and wounded. Total shot, 2,523. 2,500 people have been shot, and you're going to delay the police academy classes? That's genius. Total homicides, 493. How about just the week in progress this week alone? It's we're a Wednesday, solid Wednesday. No, we're a Tuesday. We're Tuesday. Shot and killed, 5. Shot and wounded, 11. Total shot, 16. And this is within 6 days. Total shot, 16. Total homicides, 6. It's just between October the 13th and October the 19th. Does that make sense? Yeah, that does make sense. Wow. That's insane. But anyway, let's get back to Let's Go Brandon Johnson. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cancel 2 months of police academy classes because we need the money. Nice going, Let's Go Brandon. You're a moron. All right, moving on, but along the same lines with Let's Go Brandon Johnson. Chicago spent $80,000 to renovate office for the First Lady Johnson as city faces $1 billion budget shortfall. Yeah, $80K to renovate the office. What are you doing? This is not a long-term office. This is just while you have it, while you're an elected official, as in the mayor. You get to do a little renovation. $80K. Are you moving walls around? Did you put up some really expensive shelving? Did you redo the door? Has it got a gold bathroom in there? I mean, what's going on? $80,000 to renovate an office that the First Lady, what does she do? What is she doing in her $80K office that's so important when you've got $1 billion budget shortfall? Don't really know. Maybe we should check it out. Invoices, documents. All right. February and continued through August. Redecorate room 306, Chicago Cultural Center. Painters, carpenters, electricians. The workers accrued more than 350 hours of labor at a cost of over $25,000. What are they doing in there? I want to see that when it's done. This is for somebody who is the wife of the mayor. Shocking, right? Shocking. It's just community rallies for a Southwest Side building to become Chicago Police Department station, not a storage facility, as the mayor, Let's Go Brandon Johnson, proposed. Every decision this guy makes, it's the wrong one. He is just a loser, and he is taking Chicago in the wrong directions. Repeatedly. You know what? This is what the people of Chicago voted in. You guys did it to yourselves. Those of you in Chicago, you guys did this to yourself. You went, oh, we could hire this guy. We could bring this guy on. We could elect this guy who's a little bit tougher on crime, but nah, we don't want to do that. We want to hire the progressive guy, because if we just get one more progressive into office, I think we're finally going to make that turn. We're finally going to have things go in the direction that's going to be better for society. Yeah. So they hire Let's Go Brandon Johnson, and he does this stuff. Is it shocking? Absolutely not. So Chicago, if you're happy with, all the shootings you got going on, your budget deficits, just the overall, way things are going, keep voting the way you are, because it looks like that is working out just swimmingly for you. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.